Ben working on his patrol again. And more about that very shortly. Let me just get logged in and we'll see who's in the workshop. Bom, bom, bom. I left the garage door on so we can go and take a look at that one. There we go. Excellent stuff. Okie dokie. Well, whilst we're waiting for people to join us, which hopefully will very soon, I've had quite a busy week again. Monday was admin work, which was quite nice. Got lots done. Tuesday, I went out to Cambridge, actually, a little village, little township of Cambridge. But there's diversions between here, where I live, and Cambridge. It took quite a long time to get there and get home. So that was pretty much a full day. And then Wednesday morning up to Auckland, and I was in Auckland until Friday afternoon, and I did some visits to the motorcycle shops that I go to. I did one on the way up, one whilst I was in Auckland, and then one on the way back. Incidentally, the main reason why I went to Auckland was we've been having fire extinguishers fitted to all our company cars. And this professional technician chap turned up, fire extinguisher expert fitting chap, turned up to work to do all the work for us whilst we could carry on with our normal duties. And he called me outside. He says, "Oh, I've been looking at your ute." And he says, "We can't put it anywhere in the area of the back seats because it's a double cab ute because you've got all your gear in there." Morning, Simon. And yes, he was quite correct. I didn't want a fire extinguisher in there because A, it's probably not going to be accessible because of all the stuff in there, all the tools and gear and things. And B, it's probably going to get bashed around by the things that are in there as well. So he said, "Look, not in that area, please." And he says, "Well, what about in the canopy area at the back of the ute, you know, where you the tray, so to speak?" And I said, "Well, not really, because that again gets filled to the roof with stuff. The whole idea is that's a loading bay. It's not designed for access, you know, it's designed to carry stuff. And again, it might get damaged." So the only place left was in the front two seat area. And of course, on the driver's side, not going to happen. It's too busy in that area anyway, and there really isn't enough space once I'm in it. So passenger side front. Okay, where can it go? And he's holding this extinguisher up around sort of the roof line. And I'm like, there's no way it's going up there, because if I'm in an accident, that's going to be a projectile. It's going to smack me on the head, possibly. So it needs to go down low. So basically, we focused on the footwell area. And after 2 or 3 places we thought would be good, based on access to access the fasteners, once we drill the holes, we opted for just in front of the seat, down in the footwell. Because that's sort of, you know, your feet don't go there when you're in the car. So it's a bit of a spare area. So I said, well, there you go. That's where it needs to go. I've looked underneath. There's nothing really in the way for you to drill the holes. My drill's not powerful enough to drill through metal. What? No, I can only drill through plastic. Okay, well, all the plastic in that area is on the sides, and it's real flimsy, and it's not going to support that fire extinguisher. So let's go and get you a drill and a decent sized drill bit, 6mm. So I got that from the workshop, brought it back to him. There you go. Oh, can you do it? On my work gear, right? But luckily I'm pretty scruffy most of the time anyway. Okay, so you basically want me to install the fire extinguisher myself? Yes, please. Okay, I can do that, but I'm doing it under your instruction. So if anything goes wrong, it's your problem, not mine. Okay, so you had a quick look underneath. No wiring. One thing we couldn't do is see under the carpet, because of course it's all, you know, fastened down with plastic trim and stuff, and I wasn't going to start pulling the thing apart. But I couldn't feel any ribbon cables, couldn't feel any wiring. So I lined up the fire extinguisher where the bracket where it needed to go, and pushed down really hard so that the drill bit would go through the carpet and not spin it up. And sure enough, got the holes drilled, and then clambered underneath and put the nuts on the end of the bolts, and we did them up, and it was all sorted. But why would you go to specifically to go and do a job which involves fitting fire extinguishers to vehicles, and it's going to involve drilling through metal most of the time, and not bring a drill with you or feel confident enough to actually do the job? So I was a little bit annoyed, but hey, the job was done. I had other things to worry about that morning, so I just cracked on. So that was done, and then did another visit on the way home, and I was home for about 6 o'clock, I think it was. Yes, on the Friday. So quite a busy week for me. Lots going on, lots of admin work going on in the background, early mornings and in the evenings as well. So pretty tired. And Ben had Friday off, but he stayed up in Auckland for some parts to arrive for his patrol because it's failed the certification inspection. Now, let me explain a little bit about this. This is not a warrant of fitness. This is way, way above that. New vehicles, when they come into New Zealand, have to go through certification or meet compliance, we call it. The new vehicles don't go for an inspection physically. It's me, for the brand that I work for, that signs them off, stating that they meet the legal requirements to go on the public road. For a vehicle that's already in market, a second-hand vehicle that's already registered for the road, like Ben's Patrol, that's had some modifications, some of those modifications require the vehicle to be re-inspected, and we call that certification. And so Ben had to take it, well, he took it for a warrant of fitness first, and they failed it because it didn't have a certification for the manual transmission. It had certs for everything else. There's a little cert plate under the bonnet, but the manual transmission wasn't included. So he had to find a chap near Taupo to do the certification on the transmission. And we took it down there. And one of the things he said to us was, actually, unfortunately, when you have a new modification to the vehicle or something that hasn't been covered previously, we have to re-inspect everything on the vehicle that requires certification, even if it's already certified and it already has a plate under the bonnet. And I say, are you sure? He says, well, yes, I am actually quite sure. It's my job. So, I wasn't doubting the guy. I was just a bit confused, because if something's already passed and it's already been given a plate, why does it need to be done again? But hey, we did some research and he's absolutely right, which is ludicrous in my book. So it's gone from a few $100 cost to have the gearbox certified up to, well, we're well over $1,000 now, and the bill's just skyrocketing. So poor old Ben is, scraping the barrel trying to raise enough money to get this thing done. And that's just the inspection. There's all the work to be done, and I've got a little sheet here that the inspector issued after the inspection, and I'll come back to the comments in a minute. So, an easy one. The front mud flaps are missing. Well, they are. So the reason why they're not on is when the front tyres are in full lock, the steering, they caught on the mud flaps. So Ben took them off, which clearly wasn't a good idea. But it's also a warrant fail if your tyres catch any bodywork. So Ben was sort of caught between a rock and a hard place on that one. So what he's done is he's fitted some spacers on the what we call the hockey sticks to push the axle further forward by about 15 mil. And that should give us enough clearance now for the mud flaps, so he can refit those. Perfect. That was done yesterday. He needs to get a wheel alignment done because he's not over happy about the alignment of the front wheels. But Ben fitted some, what were they? Caster realignment, weren't they? Caster realignment. Caster correction bushes. The same stuff, actually, that we fitted the little chimney. Same bushes with the off-center hole in the middle. So he's now fitted those. So it will need a wheel alignment. So he's got to get that done anyway, and he's got to take the report back with the vehicle to get it rechecked for the cert. The rear brake hose that goes from the chassis down to the rear axle under full droop, i.e. full suspension down, was under tension, so it needs a longer one. So Ben's got one of those, and we're going to be fitting that later on this afternoon. The rear diff breather was broken. This is how picky they are, right? The breather for the axle, which it's not really that important, it comes under the certification rules. So we've had an axle down the garden, had a good breather on it because they screw into the axle casing, and Ben's fitted that. He's going to replace the hoses as well because they're a bit crusty, and he's waiting for those to turn up. The right-hand coil spring not firmly contained, right-hand rear coil spring was not firmly contained in the spring seat. So again, under full droop, basically the coil spring would detach from the axle. There'd be an air gap, and that's not allowed in New Zealand. So Ben's purchased some coil retaining kits that clamps each end of the coil into place. And he's got some new coil springs coming as well, some slightly longer ones, because he thinks that they've compressed a bit over the years. Which is probably true, because it's a ute, and it's got a massive tray on it, it'll be well loaded up, probably well overweight. Now the booster, the brake booster on the bulkhead, one of the vacuum pipes, and it's in a number of different pieces because there's other things that run off it. Somebody's used the wrong kind of hose. Well spotted, Cert guy. Good job, pat on the back for that. So we're going to replace that. Again, another easy job. And there's a little bit of rust under the cab. Nothing major, just surface rust. It would pass a warrant, but it won't pass certification with that very minor surface rust. So Ben's got to clean all the paint off and treat the metal and repaint it. No big deal. It's underneath. It's easy. Now the steering wheel is not standard, which simplest thing is put a standard wheel on it, right? But Ben wants to get it sorted out. And in New Zealand, there are the boss for the aftermarket steering wheels, the bit that connects the steering wheel to the steering column. That's the boss. Some are legal and some are illegal. And we believe that the one that's on it may well be illegal. So Ben's going to look into that and get that sorted out. And the brakes are crap. Yes, now Patrols usually have very good brakes, and Ben's Patrol has got the later twin piston calipers on the front to my old Patrol, which has got the single piston calipers. So the brakes should be even better than on my old Patrol, but they're not. So Ben's gone out and he's bought himself some brand new discs, all round vented discs, proper stuff, and caliper rebuild kits, new pistons and seal kits and so on to go in there as well. So he was working on that yesterday. I rebuilt the front calipers for him, and we came to bleed it up last night, and there was a problem. More on that shortly. Now then, the exhaust is leaking in many places. Ben's got to fix that. He's got some gaskets. And the only other thing is it also has a body lift. So the body's been lifted off the chassis to give more clearance to the huge tyres. And nowadays they want the body lift spacers to be a much larger diameter than the ones that are on his truck. But he's only been given a warning about that. They haven't actually failed the cert because of it. So at some point in the future, Ben will buy a set of bigger ones and we'll just fit them. Shouldn't be too hard, hopefully, he says. So we've got our work cut out. We really, really have. But we're making good headway. Front brakes are all done. I'll cover the issue we found very shortly. Ben's going to be doing the rear brakes this morning. Hopefully the calipers will be off by the end of the live stream so I can crack on with us. But it's been a busy week, and yesterday was a long day. What time did we finish? 8 o'clock?
Yeah.
8 o'clock? I'm too old for that shit. I used to be out till midnight at home, but back in the UK, but not anymore. So, good morning, Simon. Welcome to the workshop, sir. Great to have you on board. Purple Monkey 1974. Howdy, y'all. I don't know if that's the right accent, but hey, I did my best, you know. So, Purple Monkey, welcome to the workshop, sir. Jim K, hello. Good morning, Jim. Not sure if I've missed any calls from you this week. All is quiet on our comms at the moment, which is fine. It's not a problem. I just thought I'd mention it if I've missed your call. I've done a lot of driving. One good thing, actually, in fact, probably the only good thing about an Isuzu Ute, a D-Max, is that you can set the trip meter, and it not only records the distance in kilometers for New Zealand, probably miles for other parts of the world, but it also records driving hours. I thought now that's really useful because, you know, I often get told, hey, look, you know, you're doing too much driving, or why are you driving so much, all that kind of stuff. So each month I can keep a tally now of actually how many hours I drive. In the past, I've just gone to Google Maps and tried to work it all out based on travel times on Google Maps. But the reality is there's so many roadworks and diversions in New Zealand that your driving hours skyrocket to get from A to B. So that's a really accurate way of me portraying driving hours. And if I'm stuck in Auckland traffic, for example, for 45 minutes, which is very, very common, it'll record that for me. So, you know, no wonder I have very limited time during working time for admin. It's a nightmare. It really is. Jim K says, hope all is well. Yes, just running on about 12% this morning, actually. Ben will make sure I am completely knackered by the end of today. And then tomorrow I've got admin in the morning, and then I've got to drive to Taronga. I can never pronounce it. That place on the East Coast. And then for the rest of the next week, I work my way all the way over to Gisborne and then down to Napier and then back home. It's a long drive. Talk about driving hours. It's a shitty road, and there's lots of roadworks, both getting to Gisborne and getting back from Napier. Stay alive on 5. It's a terrible road. It really is. Simon, what was his drill? The Fisher Price drill. It could well have been, and I never actually saw his drill. But I will say, when I handed him the Makita drill that we had at work, he went, "That's a good drill," which it is. It is a good drill, but I didn't expect him to, be amazed about how good a drill it was, because it's just, to me, a regular drill. Anyway, yeah, totally useless, that bloke. I'm sorry, he really was. An employee coming out of the office looking, because I had a meeting, I was pretty tidy, shouldn't really be expected to clamber under his own ute and inspect the chassis and the floor pan and work out where our fire extinguisher should go when we're paying somebody else to do it. If I knew I was doing it, I'd have taken it in the workshop and put it on the hoist, done it properly, and then I could have done it properly, painted or under seal, because we've got some little cans of under seal at work. I could have under sealed where the bolts came through, so that the floor pan doesn't rust out. But hey, my problem is it? I'm not going to buy that one. Now, Simon, I'd think you'll have had rivet nuts. That would have been good, actually. Rivet nuts would have been helpful. But they can work. Rivet nuts can work loose if it's only a thin floor and the Isuzu's pretty thin. Then get messing with nuts under the panel. I mean, I even supplied the fasteners, right? He didn't have basically anything. Anyway, I'm just getting wound up by it. It's just crap. It's like turning up to fix somebody's car and having no tools, basically. Jim K, that's ridiculous, Andy. A manual transmission. Yes, now, going back to Ben's Patrol, ironically, there is some information online from the government about whether you need to have an automatic to a manual transmission conversion certified. We did look at this beforehand, but we didn't find this particular page the first time. It does say on there quite clearly in black and white that if you're using all original parts, in this case Nissan parts, and don't forget these vehicles came out in manual transmission configuration as well. If you do all manual parts and don't make any modifications other than minor modifications, then it may well not need a certification, which blows me out of the water, because the whole reason why it went for this inspection was because the gearbox hadn't been covered under the existing cert plate. But it may well not have had to be in any way. Maybe that's why it wasn't on the cert plate in the first place. So we've really been, Ben's been really thrown under the bus with this, and I'm really annoyed. So I'm going to contact one of my contacts, very, very clever chap, actually, very helpful chap. I won't give his name out because he won't like that, but I've known him for years now, get on with him very well. And I will have a chat with him next week to see what's really going on with this, because it all seems a bit of a money-making scheme to me, to be honest. JJ, morning Andy and crew. Good morning, JJ. Lots of thumbs up. Good man. Thank you for that. Welcome back to the workshop, mates. Jim Haynes. We used Ben, you used that big half-inch ratchet power bar thing yesterday. Very impressed. Told Ben where it came from. Thank you again. Little late, but hit the like button. And again, second comment, a little late, hit the like button. I do like it when people repeat things. It just helps to get the message across. So if you've not hit the like already, now's a good time. Oh my word, what's this? I'll call him Mr. Harris because I can't. Yes, M. Harris. Always thumbs up on the way in. Top bloke. Thank you very much. Jim Haynes. Oh, we're off again. 3 more. A little late, but hit the like button. Thank you, Jim. Mr. K, Jim K, I did give you a ring on Friday. Oh, I was probably in a dealer visit, so I'm sorry, mate. Give me a call tomorrow morning. I have got a meeting, a very long online meeting starting, I think it is 11 a.m. New Zealand time. So most welcome to call me before then if you like. Mr. Harris, where I live, a manual transmission is an anti-theft device. No young people know how to shift. That's pretty much getting the same way here in New Zealand, to be honest. There's very few people can drive manual properly these days. Curly Knox. That's a good one. Good morning, Andy. Good morning, Curly Knox. Jim Haynes. Those extra long ratchets are addictive. It's really useful. I use the 3/8 one a lot when I'm doing the ROV servicing. Great for removing the steering wheel and things. I did a steering rack not too long ago and was using it for the steering wheel removal, the center nut, and also the 4 bolts that hold the steering rack to the chassis. They're quite inboard. They're very tight, and that ratchet, the 3/8 ratchet, was absolutely perfect for the job. Really, really good. I can use it for the shocks as well, actually, while it was there. Why not, you know? So no, thank you for those. They get well used. They're really, really useful. Tweaky, or tweak, with a silent E, I don't know which. The main reason for Cert on manual gearbox swap is the change of the pedals. However, Patron is the only one I know where the brake pedal is the same on an auto and manual, hence no need for a Cert. You hear that, Ben?
Yeah.
We will investigate, and we will make much noise and grumpiness if that's true, and we can validate it with documents and obviously this contact at NZTA. Very helpful chap. I won't say his name, like I said, but if that's the case, then this whole saga has been a farce. However, let me show you something. All right, hang on there. I'll bring it to the camera. Okay, so last night we were bleeding up the front brakes after I'd rebuilt the front calipers with new pistons and seal kits. Now this vehicle doesn't have ABS. It's way before that, which is a good thing in my book. A lot less stuff to go wrong. And we're bleeding away, and I'm just constantly getting big chunks of air. And I have a clear hose, so I can see this is a manual bleed. Don't use a vacuum bleeder. I'd much prefer to manual bleed them. So I'm there watching the air coming out, and it's not really getting any better. You get maybe a pump, and it's clear, and then you get some more air, and we're going round in circles. And I said to Ben, this isn't right. There's definitely something not good here. So we had a little look around, and the brake pipe that goes from the master cylinder, and it has pig's tail, we call that, down to the chassis. Old school, that is, to be honest. Down to the chassis. I said, just apply the brakes really hard. And there was a little fine mist of brake fluid. Now, early in the day, Ben had said to me, "Hey, it's still dripping brake fluid, Dad." That's not how Ben talks. I just thought it'd sound good. And I said, "Well, you must have spilt some." "Oh, okay." And then 2 hours later, it's still dripping brake fluid, Dad. And I'm like, "Oh, really? Oh, yeah, all right." I was busy doing stuff, so, you know, crack on, son. And anyway, it turned to light that the brake pipe, this particular brake pipe, if I just move my coffee out of the way so I don't get brake fluid in it, actually rubbed through. And I'm trying to find where it rubbed through now. Hopefully we took the right pipe off. We did. Where was it? It was somewhere around, that was the top bit. Bear with me, because it was, basically it was caused, I'll just fill in the gaps when I find it. It was caused, there it is. Very hard to see, but you might just see a rust mark and then, you know, an indent, if I do that. Can you see the indent? That was caused by an electrical wire rubbing against the brake pipe. I've seen it before. And of course, this time round, I've seen it again. In fact, what I might do is try and just see if I can. Oh no, it's still got too much strength there. This is a steel pipe, by the way. So I'll give you another look before I put the pipe down. Maybe it's going to focus. Is it going to focus on that for you? I don't know. But anyway, you have to believe me. There is a groove in the pipe, and of course, it's now worn so far down it'd hold the pipe. And it got me thinking a little bit, because this one was dripping brake fluid. It was leaking brake fluid, but there was no real appreciable drop in the master cylinder in the reservoir level. But there was enough, for it to wet the chassis down with brake fluid. And this brake fluid we're using is really nasty. It made my hands sting yesterday. I had to go and wash my hands. But also, it allows the air to get in as well, and that was the problem. So last night, mad panic, found the brake flaring kit, made up Ben a nice new bit of pipe, which fitted really well, didn't it? Yes, but I made it all. I said, "Oh, should we use the proper stuff and do all the bends properly and things?" And I was like, "I haven't got time for that. I just need to put a brake pipe on it and bleed it up. It's getting late. Mrs. Mechanic's getting mad. Tea's been cooked for hours." So I just stood there and bent it on the back of my thumb, and and then we found a bit of round tube to make the pig's tail. And it's, oh, that looks about right. Let's try that in there. We had a problem with one of the unions. It wouldn't screw back into the master cylinder, and I thought, I'm not. And it's an aluminum master cylinder. So I'm not going to risk it. I tried to dress up the threads, couldn't work out what the problem was. Rummaged through my box a bit, and I found one last brake union that was the same, with the threads all the way to the end. Very important, people. So I had to cut the end of the pipe off, cut the flare off, swap the union out, and reflare it. And then it was good. It went straight in, finger tight all the way in. It was great. Nipped it up, bled the brakes. They bled up really quick. And the brake pedal, the feel now is perfect. Really, really high point of contact. So very happy with that. So fixed. We're going to give them a final bleed before we take it back. Probably late this afternoon once the rear brakes are done as well. We'll just go around again and give them another bleed. Just to make sure we've got all the air out, because I want those brakes to be absolute. I want the guy's head to smack on the windscreen. The brakes are so like dropping an anchor. The brakes want to be, whoa, I want to do that again. Kind of brakes. So hopefully we'll get that with these high performance brakes that Ben's purchased. Fingers crossed. They're a bit of overkill really for a patrol, but anyway, if it gets it through the cert, all that matters. Hang on.
Have you moved my freewheeling hub?
No, I have not moved your freewheeling hub.
Anywhere.
I haven't. What?
I've been looking now for about 15 minutes.
Oh, well, it has to be there. I haven't moved it. So. Right, Curly Knox, what's your opinion on two-legged car hoists? Two-post hoists, I call them. They're actually quite useful. They're a lot more useful than I think a four-poster hoist. Although a four-poster hoist, I always feel a lot safer underneath. You've got to be a bit more savvy, about where you're putting the arms and things, and they don't always work that well on some vehicle types. You often see a video on Facebook of a car falling off a two-poster hoist, and I don't want to be that guy, but I've used two-poster hoists for years, and we have a big one at work that I bought for the workshop. Way overkill. I think it's a 4.5 ton one. I mean, it's just monstrous. Way over the top to what we needed, but it was cool, so we got it. Nobody questioned it because Andy's the only one that knows about hoists, right? So it was great. But the one thing I will say, if you're going to install a two-poster hoist, is the depth of concrete where the posts go into the floor. Must be, I think it must be, if it's reinforced concrete, it must be in New Zealand 150 millimeters, so 6 inches thick, and it's got to be 6 inches thick for a certain radius around where the post goes in as well. When we tested ours at work, it was over a foot thick. Was the concrete? It was ridiculous. Was the thickness of the concrete? They've obviously not leveled the site very well, and it just happened to be ridiculously thick in that area. So the guy was over the moon when he did his little sonar testing thing or whatever it was that he used, radar or something, I don't know. But he was very happy, so we were happy, and he fitted it. Simple as that. But no, you'll be a little bit careful with them. That's all. you know, and I usually put the arms in, bring the hoist up to take a little bit of load of the vehicle, but keeping the wheels on the ground, and then just double check that everything's locked into place. Make sure the rubbers are not all covered in oil because it makes them slippy, and the car can slip sometimes on them. But other than that, you know, they're actually pretty good. But you've also got to make damn sure. I did have a very near miss actually. I had a car, can't remember what it was. It was just a car, not a four-wheel drive, on a two-poster hoist, and it was in for new tires. Simple job, right? So put the arms under, get it up in the air, and I lowered it down to chest height to get the spare wheel out of the boot to put a new tire on the spare because the guy wanted all 5 tires doing, which was good. Not often customers do that. And when I lifted the spare out of the boot, I just felt the car just lift a little bit, and I thought, that's odd, huh? And sure enough, you know, dropped the wheel on the ground and just held the back of the car. And if I just let it go gently, the car it was balancing on the front 2 arms. Very dangerous. So of course I just held the car and we lowered it back down. And, you know, I think we just chucked the wheel back in the boot to start off with until we could get the rear wheels on, because we'd finished those, put those on, and that made it secure. And then we lowered it down and then moved the arms. So I moved the car back a little bit on the hoist so that the balance point was better. But yeah, if I hadn't spotted that, it could have fallen off the hoist. But it didn't, luckily. Was it a near miss? Yes, that was a near miss in my book. Hang on. Jim Haynes, I've forgotten. When are you traveling to North America? Well, the plan of attack, it still hasn't been firmed up yet, to be honest. I think it's around October time, from memory. But I'll keep you posted near the time. I just don't know yet what the plan is. On e-garage, have you heard of anyone using a soldering iron when drilling through carpet? I never have. Heard Derek mention it on Vice-Grip Garage. I suppose a soldering iron would seal in all the fibres so it wouldn't grab onto the drill bit. Could be a smart move, to be honest. But no, I mean, I could try it next time I have to do that kind of a job. It's not often I do that kind of thing anymore. I just pushed really hard down on the bracket and that clamped the carpet in place. It wasn't ideal, but it did the job. But yeah, soldering iron, poke it through the carpet first, seal up the fibres. Could be a good idea, actually, as long as you just set the car on fire. So yeah, worth a try. Anything to make life a bit easier. Simon, I buy cheap tools for jobs I know will break tools. So Amazon top rated breaker bar lasted 3 hours. I actually hate breaking tools. I really, really do. I mean, okay, if it's something you've bought as a consumable tool, fine. You know, you've set yourself up to accept that at some point in the future. Bit of a shame it only lasted 3 hours, though, to be fair, because you know you're going to go out and buy another one, and then it lasts another 3 hours. You know, I need tools that I can rely on, and to be perfectly honest, that will take a little bit of abuse, where they're sort of over-engineered to cope with, well, you know, heathens like me. And to be fair, you've seen it on the videos sometimes. I do stuff that's a little bit untoward. I'm not the only one. I mean, Christ, I was watching Matt's recovery the other day. Matt's off-road recovery. And, yeah, when they were putting that school bus together and putting the wheels on it, it's like, that's sorry to say it, that's a bit redneck. It really is. No offense to any rednecks out there, but that's sort of the phrase you would use, I suppose. And it was just, I didn't expect that from Matt. I was like, I mean, he knows his stuff and he knew he was doing bad, but it was bad. It was bad. If you haven't seen the video, you should watch the video. You'll cringe when you see him putting those wheels on. And then they, all along they go, we're doing this work on the vehicle. It's not going to be used on public roads, blah, blah, blah. And the first thing they do is they go for a road test. And then they go in it for lunch. Really? Anyway. That's not my problem. It was entertaining. That's all I can say. Now then, where do we get to? Are you coming to my neck of the woods, USA? Potentially in October, yes. I've taken a whole month off work, which will be amazing. It's been a long time since I've taken that kind of time off work, and it will be quite nice to jump on a flight and go over there. I've never been to the US of A, never been to Canada before either, and I'd like to meet up with a few you guys. To be honest, it's been a long time in the making. I might, if I get a chance, pop round and see Erico as well. I used to communicate with Eric quite a lot back in the day. Not so much recently, to be fair, but I'm pretty sure he'd be quite happy to see me in his workshop for half an hour or so. On e-garage, he says so much easier to drill holes when working with carpet. I can imagine the theory's there, so I'll have to give it a go. Maybe I'll just find a little bit of carpet and give it a try. Kilinox, it's amazing. The steel gave up before the wire. Which one was this? I've lost that thread in my head.
Brake hose.
Yes, it is. You're absolutely right. But it's very surprising. I've seen it before where the insulation on a wire, the insulation stays fine, and the metal, whatever it's touching, be it aluminium. I've seen it happen on an ROV engine casing where the wire that feeds the starter motor has, over the years has rubbed through the top of the engine casing, but the insulation on the wire is still intact. How crazy is that? We have to get it welded up. The casing, not the wire, obviously. So you're right. It's bizarre, but it can happen. And when you're running wires in your cars, make sure they're not dangling down on brake pipes. It'd be fine for years, and then it won't. And when we took Ben's Patrol to the chap to get the certification inspection done, Mrs. Mechanic was all geared up to drive it there. And for some whatever reason, I said, no, we'll put it on the big trailer and we'll take it on the trailer to the guy and we'll unload it when we get there. And Emma's like, what a palaver. Why would you do that? We'll just drive it. I said, well, it's pretty heavy on fuel. Ben needs all the money he can to save up towards parts for his truck. Let's put it on the trailer. So we did. And I am really pleased that we did, because this brake pipe could easily have failed on the way there. And he's not going to, there's no point in doing a service dripping brake fluid, is there? So, very pleased. Ben did drive it back, and I think that's when it failed. So, it would have failed on the way there. We know it would. So, good call. Good call, Andy, as always. Not always, actually, but that was a good call. One of my few. Now then, where we get to? John Nuttall. We really need someone above my pay grade to help you get the letters on your hat and shirt the correct way round. Help, lads. It's okay for me. I'm dyslexic. I am sorry. It's only on the live streams. I've researched the crap out of it, and I cannot find any kind of a fix. It didn't used to be like this. When I did a live stream in the past, probably 2 months ago and beyond, it was fine. But at the moment you're seeing like a reverse Andy, which is a bit odd, to be honest. And it does bug me, but it only happens in the live streams. It doesn't happen when I'm filming the normal videos. Even when I'm on selfie, it still records it on the phone the correct way around. It's only on the live streams, which is very strange. All I can do is, on behalf of YouTube, apologize. And YouTube, if you're listening, can you please fix it, because it's really annoying. Curly Knox, good advice, thanks Andy. Hey, no problem. Virginia Governor, good evening, and crew, how is everyone doing? I'm fine. I can't speak on behalf of everybody else, but I'm all right. I'm pretty tired, as always, because Ben's down working me hard. I did manage to get some other stuff done yesterday as well, and I'll show you that very shortly. And we need to get the pie in, actually. Let's get the pie in now. Okay, let's do that. So we've got, because I've got work to do, right? Bake Shack. Now, I didn't choose this, and I wouldn't have chosen it. This is another one of Mrs. Mechanic's let's see how he gets on with this pie kind of thing. Lamb curry. Now, I don't mind lamb. Gives me a bit of heartburn now and again, but I don't mind lamb at all. Used to love lamb chops. But it's a curry. I'm not a fan of curry, right? Doesn't do me any good. So I usually find that the food comes out in exactly the same state that it went in when I have a curry. You get the idea, right? It's not good. Okay, so here we go. It's a square pie. Look at that. Don't drop it in your coffee. There you go. Look, it's a bit crumbly, but it does look structurally intact. Pretty good, right? Okay, let's get it slapped in the pie one. We'll turn you around. 3, 2, 1, boom. Okay, left leg's gone to sleep. Honestly, my left leg always goes to sleep when I'm... Right, we're off. Okay, blood's flowing. We're good. Right, in the pie warmer. It wasn't actually in the fridge. Mrs. Mechanic must have defrosted it last night and left it in the microwave. So I think maybe 20 minutes. Not the normal 23. Okay, if we go over here, Mr. Ben, I'll come and see what you're doing in a minute.
I'm not doing much. I'm looking for a freewheeling hub.
Oh, it has to be there. You haven't put it under the table with the old discs, have you? How can you lose a freewheeling hub? Anyway, so I have a problem with my Holly. In fact, we'll go across first and have a look at that. Jeez, I've got tinglies in my leg now. Right, so I bought this a few years ago. It's a Holly. I think there's a faded part here for the brand. It's not just Holly, it's Holly something, but it's gone. There's the serial number and stuff. If I put you up there, the idler pulley is not there anymore because it was making a horrendous noise. And I thought, I'll just check the belts. Well, they need to be replaced. They're terrible. Now, this pillar drill has done a ton of work, right? I've worked the ass off it with all those steel plates, lots of countersinking in the early stages before we got Sheldon. But it's drilled tens of thousands of holes since I bought it. It's been worked very, very hard. I paid $500 for it. It doesn't meet standards because somebody's fitted a standard house switch on there to turn it on and off. But it's a good drill, actually, but it's noisy. And we now know why it's so noisy. Oh, and it's quite powerful. It's got a good size motor on it. So if we come around here, this is the idler. And the bearing is completely shot. Easy fix, right? Well, not really, because the design, it's only got one bearing in it at the top. So there's a lot of stress on that one bearing. It should really have a bearing down the bottom as well, but it doesn't. And it's been rubbing on the casing for so long that the pulley has gone razor sharp down here. It's taken off probably a couple of mil of material over the years. So it's been like it for a very long time. So I need to fix this or get a new one and hopefully machine it out so I can, well, maybe I can't. There's not a lot of material there, is there? But I don't know, put a bush in there or something. I'll work it out. But I need to fix that because it's crap and I can't use it. Now, the good news, that's bad news. The good news is, you remember, if we come over here, you remember these things, right? So this is, I've run out of the 700 ones, but this is for the 850. Lots and lots of these. This is the second batch of those. These have got the Andy Mechanic lettering on there, which is nice. We like that. So they've been going out the door pretty well. Very good take up on those. I do like that. And I've been working on the 450 version primary sheave holder. Can't tell you the brand, but it's a 450cc and it's got CVT drive, obviously. And this is now finished. I finished it yesterday. It's got a very short, stubby little handle, which serves two purposes. One, it saves money in production, but two, it makes the tool quite a lot easier to fit because this one's a bit different. It's the tin plate that goes on the sheave, on the primary sheave, is too big a diameter to use something that's a solid circle. It just won't go over, so we had to break it off. But you've seen this kind of stuff. I've explained that to you previously. So it's now finished. That will now go down to the laser cut guys. The only modification they've got to make is to the handle, and they've got to put a couple of 45-degree bends and shorten the handle down. The only downside is I've got nowhere to put my stuff, to put my Andy Mechanic information and the part number. So I'm hoping that they can put it around the edge. The only one of the changes, we're going to go from 5mm to 6mm because there's quite a lot of, it's just not quite beefy enough in my book. It needs to be a little bit stronger. But I'm not sure whether they can do the fold on 6mm. I'll have to ask him. If he can't, it'll have to stay at 5. But that's finished. So we're going to have 451s very shortly, and then I can start working on the old 350s, and that will be it. They'll be finished, a full set of 4. Okay, anything else to report back? I've been using Priscilla. This is a mechanics drill press, and it's brilliant. Really, really good. Actually, for such a small motor, it's actually quite powerful, and it's lovely and quiet. I do like it. We can even fire it up if you want. Listen to that. It's nice. I like it. But it's not mine. It's Mrs. Mechanic's. So I've got to fix mine over there. There is another one at the back, which I could use, but, you know, that's more powerful. Right, turn you around. 3, 2, 1. Boom. There we go. Thought I lost you for a second there. That's better. Right, so the pie's in. We've covered the brake pipe. We've covered the pillar drill failure, the pulley. I don't know how quickly I can get that fixed. Maybe I'll take it with me next week and see if I can find some place that might sell another one. I don't know. I looked online for Holly parts, pillar drill parts. Couldn't find anything. So I don't know what the plan's going to be with that. I don't want to have to go and buy a new drill. And I don't see why I should have to go and buy a new drill when it's only a pulley that's failed. So, you know, I'm working on it. Some might say, hey, Andy, you could make one of those on your Boxford, right, on your lathe. And probably could, but it's quite involved. And do I have the time? Not really, no. Although I am machining. In fact, back to, turn you around, 3, 2, 1, boom. I forgot to show you something. So that is my power hacksaw. And that does not cut true at all at the moment. It's horrific. So, come over here. Remember I was trying to mount the aluminium. I had some machining to do. Well, I got one done, and that was sent down, and it worked great. So I've now got another one to make. But chopping that 102mm diameter aluminium proved to be quite troublesome to try and cut it squarely. I managed to get it a lot better second time round, but I'm just going to give up using the power hacksaw. I think it's because of the blade. I've taken the blade out to go and get a new one. The blade is absolutely shot. Look at that. It just munched its way through. It didn't really cut its way through. Is the blade twisted? Not really. It's pretty straight, to be honest. So I don't know why it was cutting so far off. Maybe the teeth, you know, were better on one side of the blade than the other. I don't know. But it was just, it really is. That power hacksaw at the moment is atrocious. And there appears to be no adjustment on the blade holder. I know it's got a couple of cap heads here. But the power hacks that I made in the UK, I could adjust the blade to get it to cut true. This one, there's no adjustment. And it should cut true, right? Shouldn't it? You know, because everything's in line. But it doesn't. And it's to the point now. It's not too bad with real thin stuff. It's not an issue. But when you're cutting something that's, you know, 100mm deep, the blade can go way off by the time it gets down the bottom. So, not over impressed. But I only paid $100 for it, but I don't want to have to go out and replace it because it'll last my lifetime. And there's no reason why it should have gone faulty, I don't think. There seems to be no play in any bushes, so I don't know. Odd. I'll have to investigate a little bit further. But at the time, it was a case of I just need to get this done. And that tool isn't doing the job. So we come up with a new plan, right? Things are failing, aren't they? Constant task. But saying that, everything's been really good for years. So it's probably about time that I sort my shit out, really. Now then, just scroll back a little bit. Bear with me, people. Oh my word, there's all sorts going on. Bear with me. You've been so busy. Simon, when I take my bike for an MOT, the tester gave me it to do the brake roller after he almost went flying a few years back. Bigger master and calipers from an R1. So they did the bike on a. They did it on a brake roller test. Okay, I mean, here in New Zealand, when we just test the brakes on a motorcycle, we just do it as part of the test ride, and it's down to the inspector's, opinion and whether the brakes are good enough or not. I've never done motorcycle brakes on a brake roller like you do cars, because you've got a bit of a stability issue going on there, haven't you? Really. Anyway, M. Harris. I never buy tools from Amazon. Ben buys the odd bit now and again, to be fair. Amazon, Scamazon. Well, that's your opinion. I'm sure that there is some stuff on Amazon that's not too bad, but I do agree that, things are cheap for a reason, right? E-garage. Yeah, pretty much what I had always done, for sure. Never hurts to try new things. Always cool to be in your chats. You're the only one that actually replies. Thanks so much for spending your time. No problem, matey. It's it's a little community. I mean, we don't have very many people on the live streams. It actually, we used to get more than what we get now, which it's fine. This is just a bit of time on a Sunday morning that I get to have a chat with mates. To be honest, that's how I see it. And it's good to have you on board. It's good to have a bit of company now and again. M. Harris, be glad to have you. Good man. Simon, the wire rubbing through, it may have something to do with anode and cathode electrolysis. I don't know, that's far too complicated for me, is that? I think on the ROV, it may well have been, because it was on the top of the engine, there would have been some dust and dirt debris. I think that would have acted as abrasive, and it may just be that the rubber was, the insulation of the wire, because it was quite thick, was the insulation, being a starter cable, was just able to be resistant to the dirt wearing it, even though it's a softer material. But the steel, aluminum casting, wasn't, and over time it just wore through, because as soon as a little hollow starts, the dirt's going to sit in that hollow, and the wire's it's just going to keep rubbing and rubbing and rubbing, isn't it? But it is surprising that the insulation didn't wear as well. You thought it would have done, and that would have let lots of smoke out, wouldn't it? It'd been pretty cool. They soon found the fault then. Simon, scrolling down, so many comments, which are good. I don't mind comments. It's good. Good dude, how's you? Oh, Virginia Governor, good dude, how's you? Virginia Governor, all thank you, Simon. All good, thank you, Simon. Sheldon, hey, we've got Sheldon. Sheldon used to own Sheldon the Mill. Good morning, Andy and Ben and crew. Good morning, matey. All good, mate. All good at this end. Hope you're having a nice Sunday. Been playing golf, maybe. We're busy on Ben's patrol. There's lots to do. There really is. E-garage. A good topic today, actually. I'm starting work on my 55 Mercury. Poor thing needs everything. Going to have to refresh on the brakes, the interior, the engine, and transmission. Even the fuel tank rusted. Holy crap! That's a proper project. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love doing this kind of stuff on the patrols. We used to run a fleet of these vehicles back in the UK, and then before those, the little Suzuki Jeeps. So I know all about the Suzukis. But classic case of Ben will be going back to Auckland today in Larry the Carry. Yes, he's been demoted to the backup vehicle, as Mr. Clarkson would say. We watched them last night, actually. It's pretty cool. Some of the old ones. His Ford Courier has now expired on the warrant of fitness. That ran out yesterday. It came down Friday night. So I got here just in time before it ran out. That's now marooned at the cottage. And of course, his patrol is totally off the road at the moment. So Ben actually has no transport at the moment. He has motorcycles as well, and none of those are on the road. In fact, he's looking at selling his WR at the moment. That's on the cards. It's been advertised, so it's going to go. Never rides it. It's got to go. His TDR is on hold. That's not on the road at the moment. So he's got no wheels. So I said, well, you're going to have the backup car, son. He's not over happy with it, but he does understand it's a set of wheels, so he's going to use that. And it's a long way to Auckland in Narry the Carry, don't get me wrong. It's a fair trek, and it's noisy. But it stiffs petrol. It'll save him some money on fuel, for sure. But we have to check the oil before it goes. It hasn't had an oil check for a while, so a bit of an oil check going on. Curly Knox. Tapered roller bearing would be better. Yeah, but you need two, don't you? You need top and bottom. And it would be better, you're right. A bit like a front wheel bearing hub, a front hub on a car, four-wheel drive. Yes, that would be better. But we're very limited on size, so maybe I can organise something. I'm just going to get my head around it. Or just buy one off the shelf. It shouldn't be that much. And, pretty sure I can get something. We'll work it out. But I need my drill working. I mean, I've got that one as a backup. I'm all right. It's not like we can't drill holes at the moment. But, and one of my Makita drills burnt out as well. The oldest one. They usually last me about 2 years. That one had been going a bit longer than that, so shit happens. I'd already bought a new one, so it wasn't the end of the world. Where do we get to? Scroll back. Oni Garage. I have a solid trunk through. Going to be running all new wiring. Most likely going 6 volt to 12 volt. 12 volts a lot better, to be fair. Can email your pictures as I go if you're interested. I'm always interested. Yes, you've got my email address. Please do send them through, because it's those kind of emails that break up quite a boring day if I'm doing admin work, to be fair. And it's nice to get them up on the big screen and have a little look around, see what you're up to, and give you a bit of feedback. It's nice to be involved. You guys get involved with what I do, and I'm equally as interested in getting involved in whatever projects you've got going. So by all means. Jim Haynes, plastic bushing for the lower should be enough. I have got some phosphor bronze. I could make one out of phosphor bronze. That'd be even better, wouldn't it? Maybe that's the answer. Maybe Andy's just solved the problem. Phosphor bronze bush at the bottom and a new bearing at the top. Unfortunately, the bearing must have seized up at some point, and it's hollowed out the ID of the pulley where it presses in. So I'd have to weld in there and then chuck it in the lathe and remachine it back out. But I can do that. It's not a problem. Definitely do that. I think we've solved the problem, Jack, so I'll give it a go. It won't be today because I'm too busy, but that's what I'll do. Maybe next weekend I might get time to do it. Nothing to lose, right? But I'll take the bearing. I'll get a new bearing while I'm out. I don't think I've got one of those. I'll have a mooch round and see. Simon, what about a square cut for a 1/2 inch drive in the middle of the tool? Or does the hole take a locking pin to the crankcase with the handle being so short? Hang on a minute. Well, yes, that's okay. So part of the design brief, Simon, was that once the tool's fitted, you shouldn't have to do anything with it. I.e., no hands are required to hold it in position, which then leaves the tech both hands free to use his torque wrench, so there's no chance of slippage. That was my design brief, and I've tried to stick to that, and I think with the tool as it is now, I've achieved that. Once the tool's fitted, and I can't show you the picture unfortunately, but once the tool's fitted and the mole grips are applied to those 2 little flanges, those 2 little plates that stick out, that then clamps the tool onto the sheave, and it can't go anywhere. It's really secure. So I'm happy with the design. Good idea, yes, but I wanted it so that the tech could do it on his own, because often these guys are out on farms doing service work, and they're on, there's nobody to help them. So I want the tool to be as easy to use as possible so that they actually do use the tool. That's the plan, because it's very tempting to just grab the impact wrench and buzz the nut up with the impact wrench and not bother torquing it. So there has to be no excuse, is the way that I'm looking at it. The handle isn't held physically. It actually rests against one of the footwell outriggers, and it didn't need to be any longer than that. And I had a bike on the hoist yesterday, as they would do in a bike shop, so I needed to make sure that the handle didn't foul the hoist. So I shortened it down so that there was clearance as well. So you know, that was the plan, to try and factor in all these scenarios into one design of a tool. So it looks very simple. The end result always looks simple, but the criteria to get to that it has to meet is actually there's quite a few bits that I had to address. But we got there in the end, you know, but to finish it, I had to have a bike to work on and work with to sort of finesse the tool. So I picked one up from Auckland before I came down on Friday, and it worked. It's done now. Purple Monkey 964. What happened to the Myford lathe? It's still here. The bed's over there, and all the bits are, most of them are cleaned up already, in drawers under this big bench. Everything's, you know, laid out nice and neat for the rebuild. I got the new main shaft, the last one out of the UK. There's a pulley that we need, I think. And at the time I'd just run out of cash, to be honest, when I was ordering all the bits. I'd spent over $1,500 on parts out of the UK for it, which is quite a lot. I could have gone and bought a fully functioning complete lathe for that. It's not that I'm not going to finish the project. I really want to do the project, but it's become a project which I think is more suitable to be done when I have more time. So it's a project on hold. It'll be something which we'll revisit in the future, and we'll be able to put it together step by step, methodically, and get it real nice. And then it's for Ben. It's Ben's lathe. It's something I'm going to hand down to him. I'm doing it for him. I've got the Boxford. That works fine for me. So it's not urgent. It's a shame the project hasn't been finished, but there is a reason for it. I've got other stuff going on, which I always seem to have, unfortunately. Other stuff for people. So maybe one day you'll see those videos. I'd like to see them. I'll have to rewatch Mr. Croker's videos before I do it, just to refresh my mind where everything goes, to be honest. He did a great job on an old Myford. Jim Haynes, try drill press parts. Okay, I'll Google that. Curly Knox, I found the Bramley cold cut saws are awesome. Keeping an eye out on Trade Me. I have got a hot cut saw up there, which I don't really like, to be honest. I very rarely ever use it. I wouldn't use it on cutting that aluminium because it'll just destroy the blade. But a cold cut saw could be the answer. Yeah, I like my power hacksaws. I made a power hacksaw when I was 15 years old, and I just like all the movement that's going on. You know, they're pretty cool. But it needs to be able to cut in a straight line. So I'll get a new blade. I'll do a few test cuts, see what happens. It may be that maybe I'll find a fault somewhere with it when I drill into it a bit more. I see no reason why it can't be fixed. Jim Haynes, I think the plastic casing gets dirt impregnated and acts like a file against it. Possibly, you could be right. There could be little particles of abrasive dirt embedded in the insulation of the wire, and then that just acts as the abrasive. You could be absolutely right there. Yeah, I mean, what we should have done is replaced the wire as well, and then I could have put the old wire under the microscope that I've got for the laptop, and we could have actually had a look to see if there were any little particles of dirt embedded in the plastic. But you know, at the time, just get it fixed. You know, and chances are, now that it's welded up and the wire's correctly routed as well, don't forget, it shouldn't have been resting on the engine casing. You know, there should never be another problem, but it's something which I do try to make people aware of, is to make sure that the wires are not resting on metalwork, because eventually they can wear through, and brake pipes especially. Very dangerous. Now, I think the pie's popped, so we'll just finish the cigarette because it keeps going out. Oh, hang on. I've scrolled down too far. M. Harris. Bought my wife a Mercury MX motocross with a 46. Sorry, with a 40. So Mercury is a car, right? With a 460 4-barrel with police interceptor package. It was a beast. If it had a good handling package, it steered like a boat. It's all about the power. Forget the handling and the brakes, right? Richard Perry. That's a name from the past. Richard, welcome back, matey. Richard says, hi, Andy and crew. Hope all are well. GB badge and thumbs up. Cheers, mate. Simon, pop can shims and Loctite for the drill bearing. Pop can shim. Yeah, could do. I'd like to weld it up and remachine it though. I think I'll do that. But you're right. I could probably get away with that if I was going to be, because there's quite a lot of tension under it. It's under quite a bit of tension with the two belts. I just want to do it properly, So I'll give it a go. Why not? And we might even do a video on it. Who knows? Now then, Jim Haynes. The electrical wire loom covering was invented by Packard Wire Division of General Motors and known as FlexGuard conduit. It sure does save wires and tubes against damage. We used to have, years ago back in the UK, a couple of Polaris Sportsman X2s. There were 500cc quad bikes and they were a proper two-seater quad. It had a separate back seat with a back support on it as well. Really cool, and it all folded down into the tray, so you could use it as like a little tipper tray as well. It was actually very clever design. However, they used that plastic conduit on a lot of the wiring harness, but they didn't put foam in the ends to support the wires, so the wires would just sit there and chafe against the plastic. Both bikes had 3 new wiring harnesses during the 2 years that I owned them. Yes, just simple little things like that can let what could be a good design just fall flat on its face. Just the little refinements. Let's just think about what's going on when the vehicles are used in a muddy environment, which nearly all ATVs are. Just dumb, to be honest. So when we got the third loom fitted, I got my mechanic, Peter it was, to pull all the plastics off and go through both bikes and fit foam around all the exits of that conduit, and then we had no more problems. Eon Garage, agree. Always good to have a backup. I have a few. Our state did away with inspections years ago. Title transfers can get expensive though, about 3.4%, and of course $3 a day anytime tags are late. Title transfers. So when you sell a vehicle in the US, do you have to pay a tax, even though it's a second-hand vehicle? Is that what the 3.4% is? Whatever you sell it for, you've got to pay 3.4% of that in tax? That sounds a bit harsh. We don't have that here in New Zealand, and I don't believe it was there in the UK either. Pie ping. Simon, thank you, Simon. Let's go and get the pie. Right, that's definitely all gone now. Okay, turn you on, 3, 2, 1, boom. Okay, here we go. We are 1 hour and 8 minutes in. Jesus, we do waffle sometimes, don't we? Okay. The pie. Should have cooled down nicely now. Looking good. I do feel that it's a bit squishy. Ooh, did you hear that, people? Oh, hang on. That was a mistake. There we go. Right. Mrs. Mechanic says, if I don't like this pie, she's doing bacon butties. Well, if I have a bacon butty as well as a pie, I'll never get any work done, will I? Okay, so this is, for those that have just joined us, Bake Shack lamb curry pie. I didn't choose it. Mrs. Mechanic chose it. Luckily, it's not fish, right? Never again will I ever eat a fish pie. No chance. Ben, would you eat a fish pie?
Don't be ridiculous.
There you go. Ben would not eat a fish pie either. Fish shouldn't be in a pie. Right, so it's looking still pretty good, right? There we go. Boom. Okay, we're going in. In fact, structural integrity first. There, look. I thought I could feel something. So it's just lifted a little bit. The bonding has failed around that part of the lid. Okay. Curry. It's quite hot. Whew. I had beans on toast the other night. And I always like to do my beans in a pan on the cooker. But Mrs. Mechanic, because we were rushing, she put them in the microwave. So brought my tea through, busy watching telly. Sit down. Normally you get a lot of steam off things that are really hot, right? To give you an idea, oh, they're really hot. There was no steam. So I got a bit of toast and put my beans on and, you know, first bite. Those beans were hotter than the center of the sun. They were ridiculously hot and burnt all the inside of the top of my mouth. It's 97% fixed now. It wasn't good, but it's still a bit tender, so I'll be careful. Because there's nothing worse than burning your mouth, is there? It's a horrible situation to be in. And it just takes like 3 or 4 days to fix. Not nice. Connor K. Good morning, Connor. Welcome back to the workshop, matey. Connor says, hey, Andy and crew. Sorry I'm late. Lots going on. Join the club. Ben's patrol needs lots of work doing. Luckily, there's nothing massively important. Well, massive, but I think the brakes is the biggest issue, and we'll have those done today. But hey, good job we had to do the brakes, because then we found that brake pipe. If we hadn't had to do the brakes, we wouldn't have found it. And it could have led to an accident, and then he could have had a lot more work to do. Or the vehicle could have got written off. Ben could have got injured. So it was a win in my book. Oh, you can smell the curry in the morning. It's not good, is it? Okay. We've got to start scoring. Ooh, that's hot. If we don't start scoring, we're going to run over time. Okay. Taste, stroke, flavour, contents. I'm going to leave that one for now, actually, because I've not really had a bite of meat yet. Structure Folly Partners, too soon for that. Runnability test. We need one more bite before we do that. Pie to crust ratio. We could probably do that. So I'm just going to open it up. There's a lot of pastry. There's a hell of a lot of pastry, which for me this morning is actually a good thing, because I'm not into curries at all. So it's going to score pretty poorly on that, because, you know, the contents are pretty important. So I am going to give it, for that, I'll give it a 4. I think 4's fair. Okay. Availability logistics. You can get Bake Shack pies in supermarkets. You can get them at your local, you know, corner store and that kind of thing. They're pretty available. Because you can get them from supermarkets, you can buy them online. So we will give it, I think we give them about an 8 for that. Because they're not available everywhere, but they're available in most places. Pastry taste rating. Okay, here we go. Pretty bland, but it's pastry. They haven't messed with it. So I will give them a bit stodgy, actually, a bit gooey down the bottom. I'll give them a 5. Run of the mill. Packaging design. Okay, well, it's just a paper bag. And the Bake Shack ones, you can see where the ink always seems to rub off on their pie packets, on the bags. You can see down the bottom, it's all faded, the barcode's faded, it just rubs off. I mean, I'm surprised that nobody's noticed that yet. I mean, especially down here, you can hardly see all the ingredients. That should be printed the rest of the bag, and it's just gone. Why hasn't anybody in management noticed that and gone, hey, we need to change the ink we use? So, the design. They're going to lose marks for the crappy ink because it does look shit. It's pretty basic. You could probably knock that together in about half an hour on Photoshop. So I'm going to give them... I was going to give them 5. But because of the ink problem, I'm going to give them 4. I think it's rubbish. I mean, it's distinctive. It's distinctively rubbish. It's consistently rubbish as well. They've never changed it, for my knowledge. Recyclable score. Oh, it is recyclable. There's a recyclable badge there on the back. So it's paper, recyclable, and they've told us they get full marks of 10 out of 10 for that. Best score yet. Good job. Okay, now then, structure, flavour. I can do that now. We'll do one more taste stroke flavour, sorry. One more bite. I can sense a piece of meat coming. Oh, it's very curry tasty. Okay. Huge chunk of meat. It wasn't bad. Doesn't taste anywhere near as nice as a lamb chop, that's for sure. I have to wonder what part of the little lammy it was that I've just eaten. I'm not a fan. I don't like it, to be honest. I'm going to give it a 4. I just don't like the flavour at all. Structure Foley Partners. Okay, we can do the flowy test now. There's lots going on with this pie, as you can see. So we've got some movement here. Is it going to hang in there 30 seconds? We're at 45 degrees, 30 seconds. That's more like 45 degrees, isn't it? Yes, we're about there now. It's just hanging in there. It looks disgusting. It looks like it's something that Marmite's left on the ground, to be honest. Marmite's not very well at the moment, by the way. No, she's not. She's pukes up on a regular basis. A lot of bile and stuff. It's not nice. Can't keep the food down very well. So we took her to the vets. Did some blood work on her. She came back and said she's fine. Blood works are all passed. There's nothing obviously weird for a dog of that age. And she's like 15 years old now. She's nearly 16 years old. So she's doing well, but a bit of a concern that she's not herself. So they've given us some probiotic stuff, and we bought some nice dog food that's not supposed to upset her stomach so much. It may just be that she's had to live on that stuff from now on. And she didn't even get any bacon yesterday. That's how serious we're taking it. So we'll see. So runnability, I'm going to knock 1 off because it was just about to dribble. I'll give it 9 for runnability because we've got a lot of shrapnel on the ground as well, to be fair. Structure Foley Partners, it's doing all right. We'll save that one for a bit later. Meat quality, yeah, it wasn't great, to be honest. We'll have one more bite and see if we can get a better bit.
Yeah.
It's quite dry, is the meat. I'm going to give it... Oh, no. I'll give it a 5. I nearly went for 4. Okay, what else have we got to go? Still tasty when cold. I don't think it would be. I think it would taste disgusting cold. Cold curry? No, not for me. I don't even eat hot curry, really. So it wouldn't be as bad as the fish pie cold, though. That would be absolutely horrendous. I'm going to give it a 2. Okay, Structure Foley Partners. We can probably do that now, actually. It's sort of hanging in there. It's pretty much been a one-handed pie. So we've got to give it something for that. Some pies you've got to really keep them together with your fingers. Implement good pie management. There you go. There's a bit of meat in the middle there, look. God, it's horrible. So, Structure Foley Partners. Again, there's loads of shrapnel, lots of pastry all over the place. You couldn't eat this in your car, that's for sure. I'm going to give it a 7. I think that's pretty fair. Okay, so what have we got left? Stuffability score, post pie heartburn. No burps yet, but I'm pretty sure being curry, this is going to destroy my stomach. I'll be down in the anti-acid stuff later on. Pie server attractiveness. This came from the local store, so I think we give them about a 6, I think, from memory. So at this point in time, post pie heartburn, nothing yet. Surprisingly, nothing yet. So stuffability score and post pie heartburn. That's all we've got left to score now. Let me just do a couple of comments before we go any further. Oh, hang on. Simon's giving me some shit. Bear with me. Oh my word. Hang on a minute. I'm scrolling back. Here we go. M. Harris, thanks for the stream and the chat. Have a good one. Customer has a laptop drip. Back to work. John Nuttall. Honda make genuine Honda rodent tape. Look that up. Yes, they do. Very tasty for the rodents. I've seen that in the cars before. Can't remember what it's made out of, but they do seem to like the taste of it. It started. Bloody curry started. I knew it would. The chili tape. On garage, mine currently has a 312 from a 58 Ford Fairlane. Probably won't be able to get her running again without that engine. Probably going to go a little modern with EFI. Might swap Crown Vic steering later. Yeah, so the car was an 800, so would be about 90. So the car was $800. So the car will be about $90 in taxes and penalties, paid over $1,400 US when I bought my Super Duty. Holy crap! I didn't realize that. We don't have tax on second-hand vehicles unless you buy it from a dealer, I suppose. If you're buying it privately, it's not taxed. Okay. The last bit I'll ever eat of a curry pie. Glad to see the back of it. Incidentally, the fish pie, after the live stream, Mrs. Mechanic said to me, I really didn't expect you to eat all of it. I expected you to take a couple of bites and throw it in the bin. But I don't like waste. It was disgusting though. That fish pie was the worst pie I've ever had. For the title transfer, wow, yeah, okay, it was over 1,400, I meant. Jeez. I thought it was harsh also, and so did my wallet. Yeah, I bet it did. JJ, your baked beans story made me chuckle. Yeah, well, we've all been there. If you eat baked beans and you put them in the microwave, brace yourself. They're going to be really, really hot. They taste so... Marmite! I'll get the dog, hang on. It's not often Team Marmite actually is on the channel. It's been a long time. This is my little puppy. Aren't you? Hey? Do you like curry? No, not into curries. Okay. So she's not very well at the moment, unfortunately. Just not quite yourself, are you? Bit steady. Yeah. Where do we get to? Simon, come on, you can't say you've never eaten last night's curry takeaway for breakfast. I haven't. I don't like curries. Simple as that. Sheldon, hopefully, if the weather's good, next weekend we're off on the R1s to watch the hydroplanes racing at Twizel blown V8s. That will be very cool. Well, you ride safe, matey. Watch out for the cops. There'll be plenty of those around. John Nuttall. Andy, when you are next having a stay over in Auckland? I'm away for the next 2 weeks, and then I'm back up to Auckland again. I think I'm there for 3 nights. So in about 3 weeks' time, I'm back in Auckland. Banana Brooks, that's an old name. Simon, agreed. Second day, warmed through curry always tastes great. I like lasagna warmed up twice. I might like lasagna, don't you? Hey, you're going to go back down. Oh, there you go. Where do we get to? Simon, did you hear what happened on the M1 last week? A lorry carrying thousands of terrapins crashed. It was a total disaster. You are funny, mate. Banana Brooks. So do soups and stews. Yeah, soups do taste better second time around, for sure. Connor Gay. With very heavy rains here recently and very strong winds, water dripping from the ceiling in the room I seldom go into. Not good at all. Wow, that is bad. We've got a broken tile on the house, and we do get a little bit of water in the kitchen now and again. So I've got the roof to fix, and then the ceiling in the kitchen to fix as well. It's not ideal. It's just one of those jobs on the list that will get done one day, and then we'll have a torrential rain, and then it'll need a much bigger job, but I'll forget. Bernard Brooks, Simon, I sense you're a one-pan cook. A mate of mine used to have a frying pan that he never changed the grease or the oil in. It was years old. It looked horrifically disgusting, but man, it produced the best tasting bacon I have ever had, and sausages as well. Once you get it warmed up, all that fat and stuff would just start swimming around. You put your bacon in. It was good. It was really good. Mrs. Mechanic won't tolerate anything like that, but if I was on my own, I would have a similar frying pan. It would just, I'd never clean it. It would just be the fat. Great. Probably take a few years off my life, by the way, but it would taste nice. Simon, Banana Brooks, slow cooker, put it on, come home late and tea is ready. Oh, that's just too organised, Simon. Banana Brooks, noisy Ben, he's always noisy. John Nuttall, last comment. Live stream mirror image happens if you use the front camera, but not if you use the rear camera. I've just read it, not sure it works. I use the selfie camera, the one that's, you know, where all the normal screen is. And yes, it's reversed on that. If I flip it around, let's try it. Let's do a bit of diagnostic work. So over here, we've got the battery charger. And the lettering's the correct way around. So you're right. So if we use the main camera, everything's fine. The downside is, by using the main camera, I can't really very well, at least, frame myself in the screen. I could probably do it off that one, but it's a bit delayed. Oh, you weren't going to give me one.
No, that's me.
What an arsehole. You just brought me bacon egg butties and I didn't even get one. That's not on. Right, we need to score this pie. I've been trying to put it off. Okay, so stuffed ability score. Am I stuffed? Well, I can't say I am because I want to have a bacon butty, don't I? But I don't want any more of that pie. I'm not hungry. I'm not. I have to give it a 10.
Hey.
Post pie heartburn. There was a huge burp. I'm going to knock 2 off for that, so it's down to 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Thanks, honey.
Did you want a bacon and egg boy?
Yes. Right, they're all in. Okay, let's score up the pie. Because time is ticking and I've got calipers to rebuild. The work never ends. Never ends when Ben's down here. When Ben's not here, it's actually quite a cushy job these days. Weekends. Okay, so 11, 20, 25, 29, 37, 42, 44, 48, 58, 64, 74, 80. Right, so you got a score of 80, which is pretty crap, to be honest. And it's a Bake Shack. And it's a lamb curry. Nasty. Would you eat lamb curry pie, Ben?
I don't know. I like lamb curry, but I don't know if I'd like it in a pie.
Yeah, see, I maybe it's because I'm old. I can't eat curries anymore. So there you go. We got 80. I still haven't got any of those magnetic strip thingies yet. I can't find the company that used to do them. I'll get around to it. So I'll take a photo, and it'll live in my phone, and then we'll put them all up one day. I'll probably need a bigger cabinet when we do that. Right, we'll have one last cigarette because I've just been brought a nice fresh coffee, and Mrs. Mechanic's going to make me a bacon butty now, so we can catch up with the comments, and then we'll call it a day because we're actually going to run over time today, which is a bit weird. Oh. I think I need a new lighter. Right.
You use my photo.
No. Burn my face off with that. Where do we get to? Now then. On your garage. Good luck, Connor. You'll be in our thoughts. I know what that is like. Luckily, you had good insurance. Yeah, I mean, I could claim on the insurance and they could fix it all, maybe. But I've known about it for a while. It's sort of negligence on my part, really. We'll see. John Nuttall, tape a mirror to it, lol. Funny. John Nuttall, hit the like button. 3 likes, 24 watching. What's going on? Is that all we've got? Oh, we've got 16 likes now. That's better. Okay, so there's still another 11 people to click the like, or if you don't enjoy the live streams, but you just have to watch them for whatever reason, then click the dislike button, because YouTube doesn't mind which one you click. It's still an interaction as far as they're concerned, and they promote the live stream more because of it. So, Ben, how have you got on with your patrol? In fact, should we have a quick look?
Yeah, do a walk around.
I'll do a walk around. Look at that. See, Marmite is begging for bacon. Ben's on his... Oh, it's on the first one?
Oh, first one.
How are you?
Found the free-building hub.
Oh, you did? Where was it?
On top of the swivel hub, because we were cleaning off all the brake fluid. So we moved it out of the stream.
So it was just sat on the truck?
Yeah, behind the driver's side front wheel on top of the swivel hub.
God. No wonder you couldn't find it.
Yeah, I was looking high and low.
Okay. And where's all your rear part? Oh, they're over there, aren't they, discs? Is that petrol in that can over there?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Okay. If we suddenly die, you'll know why. So his rear discs are in there. Rear pads are over there on the table. This is Ben's little temporary workbench. Exhaust gaskets, look, he's got that to fix. Recognise a lot of these tools, son. And he's even got a manual. He's got a Haynes manual, look. I did find the Nissan manual online, but it was so badly pixelated we couldn't really read half of it. So I'll try and find a better version. So Simon, if you know of a manual for the Nissan Patrols that's actually a good PDF that hasn't been, what do they call it when they come, oh, compressed, isn't it? Hasn't been compressed to death, then send me a link, mate. That'd be cool. But yeah, look at this. It's a cool truck. I do like his tipper. And it stays up as well, doesn't it?
It doesn't droop.
Doesn't droop at all. It's really good. They're massive coil springs on there, you know. And you want bigger ones. Jeez.
Oh.
Longer ones.
They should be the same length as what they were new.
Right. So you reckon they've sagged? There, look, you get to see inside his truck. Look at that. See, they don't make cars like this anymore, do they?
It's not clean at the moment at all.
Nice.
It's still covered in all the paint dust and sand in the roof.
Oh, yeah, look at all that. Doesn't matter though, does it? It's a cool truck. And this back body panel, Ben was telling me, that panel there is actually a genuine Nissan part that they made so you could convert these vehicles into utes. Because this is a conversion. This was once, we think, a long wheelbase. Pretty cool, isn't it? Very cool, in fact. Right. Back to the bench. I have no food for you, dog. You have to eat your proper food. You know what will happen otherwise. Okay, turn you around, 3, 2, 1. Boom. Oh, we've done a lot of walk-arounds today, haven't we? Pretty cool. Where do we get to? Jim Haynes, when you say curry, I think Indian food, which is not, no, but hell no. No, I just don't like. Ooh, bacon butties arrived now. Look at that. Proper food. I'm so happy. Okay, crew, I think we'll call it a day at that. You're not going to watch me eat a bacon butty as well. Thank you all for watching. I'm pretty sure that I have got a video that I need to edit. So I will take my editing laptop with me next week on my travels, and I'll try and get that edited and uploaded next week for you. I think it's doing... What was it doing? Your swivels, wasn't it?
What was it?
That I filmed? Doing the... Yeah, it was swivels and stuff on his patrol, so that'd be pretty interesting. It's not a proper how-to video. It's just me and Ben working together, getting the job done. But it'll be good, actually. I think it should come out pretty well. Okay, crew. Bacon butties for tea last night. Enjoy, Sheldon. Good man. You've got to have bacon butties and HP sauce. Best sauce in the world for bacon butties, I believe. Jim Haynes, he needs to put steering wheel on the correct side. Yeah, Ben, it's on the wrong side.
No, it's on the right side.
Simon, Brule brand. Yeah, I know. I did see that in the background, but hey, I'm only human, right? It's just well the way it is. Okay, crew. That's about it. I think we're all there. JJ, thanks, Andy. Awesome. Okay, crew. That's it. See you next time. Thanks for watching. Over and out.